How are you guys doing? We're talking about Atlanta here. I got a lot to talk about, so I'm sorry if this seems like a longer video. Put it on 2x, put it on 1.5x, and just rock and roll today. First and foremost, I will be at Atlanta this weekend, so if you guys see me, I think this is the second race I've been at since I've been doing this like full-time. I think last one I went to was Phoenix a couple years ago. I met 3 of you guys there. If you guys see me at Atlanta, feel free to say hello. I'd love to thank you if you watch my stuff in person. Due to that, because I will be at the track, I won't be able to put out projections. Really, the only race it kind of affects is Mid-Ohio because this is a plate race. Now, we're going to talk up and down the street on how you want to categorize Atlanta. Okay, but for the most, like at least for Mid-Ohio, I understand if you aren't happy about that, you can message me. I'll get you squared away. I'll figure out something if you aren't happy with that. But I'll just be at the track, so I just won't be able to do stuff. Secondly, when we look at it, or thirdly, when we look at Atlanta, with how it's breaking down, for me, I said this years ago when Atlanta was announced that I would want at least a 3-year sample size of stuff. And even then, 6 races per series is not going to be a lot, and it's even less for the truck series. But right now, we're at 3 races for the Cup Series, 3, 4 Xfinity Series, I think 2 for the truck series. So that's less than 10 races. The sample size is very, very small here, okay? And when you're looking at the spreadsheets, it's going to be very telling of what's going on here, okay? If you're watching the races, we have seen 3 distinctly different Atlanta races. None of these races have been the same, okay? But if you're spreadsheet warrior, if you're going into stuff, and if you're not paying attention to that, you might feel very happy and very comfortable playing the pole sitter. I'm just going to say right now, I'm not playing the pole sitter. I'm not fucking doing that. Now, as I said, I'm not going to be doing a lot of lines. I'll probably be doing stuff at the track, goofing around. I'll be building lines in the stands. But, like, I'm not playing the pole sitter. I'm not playing that, okay? I put out a video earlier this year talking about, like, people, how aggressive they are, how they approach racing and blah, blah, blah on the plate races. I'll link that in the pinned comment below in case you want to rewatch that. I also have, I'll show you the 6 drivers in the optimal lineup of the regular plate races and stuff. We're going to kind of go back and forth and talk about that. We're not really talking specifically DraftKings points here. I'm just talking about my approach. I will bring up Phil's tweet, and this is nothing against Phil. Phil does a phenomenal job, and one of the nicest guys here, one of the few guys that covers NASCAR that I respect. But I'm going to start with that because I have seen a lot of discussions very similar to this, and so I'm just putting my 2 cents in on this. So when we look at this here, secondly, I'm pretty acoustic, okay? I'm really bad looking at spreadsheets, okay? If it's not my own colors and shit like that, I really struggle with stuff, okay? This is no offense to Phil, great example of one that I personally struggled with reading. Because, yes, it's sorted by average DK points. I could not. I had to go in Discord and ask him, hey, what is he sorting here? What does he have set up? Because in my mind, I would absolutely have the finishing order or the ranking of DraftKings here. Okay? But what threw me off was the color coordination. Okay? Phil, never, please, God, don't ever have the finishing positions in red and the lower finishing positions in green. I even checked, and I was like, well, no, clearly he has, the lower colors are going to be green, so these aren't finishing positions. Either way, that was a big conundrum when I was reading this. I think this is a very dangerous way to look at this race. And Xfinity is very similar. I understand the sample size is small, and I understand, look, I might just be... I'm not trying to just be contrarian, but that's where I'm at. And this is good. This is good data. It Phil's compiling all this. I'm not saying any of this stuff is wrong. I'm just saying it's not how I'm personally approaching this race. And the reason being is let's go through these races, and I would show the crashes, but I'd like to not have this video be demonetized. Let's go ahead and look at these races here. So this is the 22nd. Yeah, so these are both from last year. This is earlier this year. I'm going to read you through where these wrecks are in these races because I have the feeling that a lot of people are going to want to play the pole sitter Play the second place guy. And also, I mean, this is saying, look, I also have to remind myself, I'm looking for red here, not green. Okay? So, well, hey, place differential, and I mean, that's not bad, 31st to 25th. But place differential, stack from the back. Outside of the 36 here, stack from the back worked. Second half of the field worked. Second half of the field worked. These are bad. These are not going to kill you depending on what their pricing are and stuff like that. Either way, that's just kind of my 2 cents. Anyway, so let's go ahead and look at these races here. So the first race, also secondly, because I know some of you guys might not watch the video that I'm going to put in the pin section, and you probably haven't watched all my stuff before because I have a lot of new viewers. When I look at plate racing, I look specifically at what's causing wrecks. Who's not be like, oh, Spinhouse is causing more wrecks again. No, what category of driver, what situations are causing wrecks? Okay, and we've gotten into 2 situations that cause a wreck, and one can be just aggressive blocking, which I just prefer to call you pinch you pay. We can use Dale Earnhardt's fatal crash for 2 of these examples here. So, hey, Dale threw a late block, he pinched, he pay. Okay, the second approach that causes wrecks is you don't race, you die. Okay, and we have seen this plague Junior Motorsports. We have seen this plague Toyotas. We have seen this plague a lot of teams really going back, and not even certain teams, but certain drivers. Okay, yet again, kind of summarizing my video that's linked below, but I'm sure some of you guys won't watch it. Watch it because there's more detail in there. But when you look at people like Justin Haley, when you look at people like Eric Almirola, you see people who are very methodical at getting through the field, who's able to get to the front being very safe, but they don't have the guts, they don't have the willpower, they don't have the animal mother in them to get the lead by themselves. They need stuff to happen up front. Okay? So they don't necessarily, like, you don't race, you die, but they're just consistent at finishing up front, but they never get that, they never get the win. The you don't race, you die is like Junior Motorsports. I don't remember what races they are. They just kind of all blend together, but you'll remember what I'm talking about. Junior Motorsports recently wrecked all 4 cars because they were trying to link up. They're trying to work as a team. When you look at colleague racing back in the day, we have A.J. Allmendinger, Justin Haley, Ross Chastain. They're leading. They end up wrecking. Ross Chastain's wrecking because, hey, Ross Chastain's raced for lead. Haley and AJ are just trying to finish. They're not racing. They died. Dale Earnhardt, 2001 Daytona 500, defending for his team. He's not racing. He dies. Okay. When you look at a lot of the wrecks in plate racing, it's typically bad bumps, bad blocks. Which I know that sounds generic, but when you break it down, like that's really what it is. It's either people shoving somebody up front, getting them loose, running to the back of somebody, whatever the case may be. But that's because somebody's being aggressive. They're trying to make moves. When you look at Denny Hamlin, probably the best plate racer in I would argue all time at this point, because we've gone through so many different generations of cars, and he's always been able to understand what he needs to do to get up to the field and pass people and make stuff happen on his own. Anyway. Hopefully that makes sense. Watch these races. Pay attention. It's much more than just spreadsheet warrior. But, okay, so when we look at the first race ever at Atlanta, okay, and my 2 main things that I want to focus on is entering this race is it's been incredibly clean. When we look at the optimal lineups for plate races, these are just Daytona and Talladega, not in any specific order. I just wanted to have them here. Let's cut off line if you want to use halfway through the field. But this is where they're at, okay? Atlanta, it really is following races that end up looking very similar to green flag races at Talladega, like the spring race at Talladega. Looking very similar to this one. Looking very similar to even this one here. These are out of order as well, just because I didn't want to argue, even make that. I just wanted people to just look at the data specifically. But when you look at, like, the races that we have seen, average DraftKings points based on their starting position and stuff, it is very similar, like greenish races on regular plate races. Okay, and now why is that? What causes these races to go that way? That's acting very similar to the Atlanta races so far that we've seen. a little early to tell what's going on. And we've been very close to not having the optimal lineups at Atlanta that we've had. So let's kind of go through these races really fast and talk about why I'm not playing the pole sitter. I'm not playing ownership at these races. I'm still playing guys from the back. That's just how it's going to be. Whether I'm doing it in my computer, whether I'm doing it in the fucking stands, I don't care. That's how I'm playing. So when we look at the first ever race here, you know, oh, Chase Briscoe got the pole. Doesn't matter. He gets shifted out. But when we look at this race here, take note of where these wrecks happen, because I mean, we're already seeing, like, you need to play the pole sitter, you need to play the leader, you need to chase laps led. I mean, like, optimally, yeah. Percentage-wise, very similar to Chicago with, like, the ownership on Hamlin, Reddick, and Bell. I mean, if that ownership gets crushed, it doesn't matter if you have the lap. You might not be optimal, but if you don't have the guys who are carrying all the ownership, you don't even need the guy who's going to lead laps. You're going to cash. You're going to make a lot of money anyway. When we look at this race here, okay, yeah, sure, you can go through, which, you know, we have quite a lot of DNFs, and you look at these races here, and yes, these can be, like, you know, you can learn a lot from here, but let's pay attention to where these wrecks are happening. So, Gregson self-spins in the back of the field, just how it is. New, you know, not familiar with the car, blah, 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 blah. And these guys don't have fucking practice either. That's stupid. This race here, Ross Chastain, incident turn 1, Ross Chastain blows a tire while leading. He is the leader. Okay, tire wear is huge at this racetrack. We've already seen it. When they designed Atlanta Motor Speedway, which, hello, secondly, I'm telling you, you idiots, I'm telling you multiple times, Charlotte regrets adding fucking grass to the front stretch. Okay, I mean, AstroTurf to the front stretch. We are never going to have AstroTurf at a fucking racetrack. It is a disaster. It is a regret. Everybody was like, you know, they need to add AstroTurf. No, they do not. When they reconfigured Atlanta, you know what they didn't do? They did not add AstroTurf. They kept it grass, okay? You dumb idiots. You dumb idiots. AstroTurf is terrible for the tracks. They are never going to add it. Just wanted to say that, because everybody keeps wanting to argue that they need AstroTurf. They're not going to do it. If you dumbass reporters could actually ask people in charge, they would explain to you why AstroTurf is not what they want to do. Anyway, Atlanta Motor Speedway was designed for this track surface to age much more quickly than other tracks, okay? Because it was made in nowadays, you know, we have the technology to do that. Not because, like, the construction company was cheap or they used cheap stuff. You know, in fact, this is probably one of the most expensive repaves that we had, because they have fucking tubes going underneath the track to help it dry off when it rains. But they designed it to wear incredibly fast. We are seeing that. Look at the asphalt. It is already changing colors. We are seeing that grip. We are seeing that well, not grip, but we're seeing that car setups are really important. We're seeing a high amount of tire wear, and I would argue that we are going to continuously see tire wear increase more and more, especially entering this week. Okay, so this is just the first race when people weren't completely familiar with what they want to do with the camera and caster. But second race, second yellow here, Chastain blows a tire in turn 1. He blows the right rear as he's leading. Okay, third wreck here on this incident in the front straightaway. Third place wrecks, and I did this years ago with, like, other plate races and stuff, to where I would just always look at to where the wrecks are happening, and this is what's telling me that we are getting outliers. At least I believe we're getting outliers with these finishes, with these average DraftKings points. Okay, it's, as I said, it's very similar to races that go green on the traditional super speedways, because when you look at where the wrecks are happening, who the wrecks are happening with, everything like that, it's all similar. It's just the leader has not been involved in the wreck. But the third incident here, third place is wrecked. Third place is where the accident starts. Okay. Next wreck. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., aggressive, knows how to get the front of the lead. Sometimes you can do it with strategy, but and this is more of a strategy play to get track position, because track position is very important. If you aren't aggressive, you're not going to be able to hold the track position, but, you know, if you're starting in the back of the field, the team's going to get you up there. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., leading the race, blows a tire, causes the big wreck. Okay, this wreck here with what is it? So this is debris. We get instant turn 4. Not necessarily that important because I did not write this one down. I skipped it. Sorry. I was trying to go through all these races. all the major wrecks up front. This one here with Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson gets crashed while he's running in 3rd place. Okay. This one here, 38, blows a tire mid-pack. This one right here, Eric Almirola gets spun while running in 3rd position. Okay, so we are wrecking for the win. We are wrecking for the lead. The lead car is out front. It's these 2 other lines that are causing the wrecks in the first one here. Okay, which is lines up very similar to a traditional plate race. Okay. When we look at the Quaker State 400 this is the July race last year. And you see these wrecks. We see that we aren't getting a ton of DNFs, but we are still having, only 21 people finish on the lead lap. A lot of big names being involved in wrecks here. But when we look at this race here, Truex Jr., where are we at? This one here. When we look at Truex Jr. Wreck, we wreck for 4th. Okay. Chris Buescher blows a tire because he was involved in an earlier wreck earlier. 14 gets wrecked in the mid-pack. About like 17, 14, something like that. Alex Bowman blows a tire while running 6th. Garrett Smithley gets loose, running for, right around 14th. Takes everybody out here. Kyle Busch and Cody Ware, they wreck for last. These don't matter just because they're not important. Like Bell spins, he kind of self-spins to bring out a yellow, and then he loses the wheel on pit lane. Not very important here. When we look at this one here with Denny Hamlin, with people who are actually allowed to race and stuff, these guys wreck for 4th. Joey Logano wrecks for 11th here, and then Corey LaJoie just runs out of talent, pisses this race away because he doesn't know how to hold the lead. Okay, so I'm looking at these wrecks, dude. We're wrecking in the top 5. It's just pure true luck that Elliott got away with this. Otherwise, we might be looking at Chastain. We might be looking at Eric Jones. But this, big lead could very easily just be knocked down and negated. Very similar to William Byron here. Okay? When we look at this race here, this is the This is the very interesting one, which really starts to fall in line with a spring Talladega race. If we're looking at trends and where we're at here, no crashes at all in this race. Also, whoever they hired to start leaving the notes here, you should be taken to the back room and shot, because this is not adding anything to the max straightaway. You're not doing your fucking job, dude. I know you're getting paid more. You can type in who's involved here, so I don't have to go through and find this stuff out. Okay, but what happens here? This accident back straightaway on the start of the race. Hey, you know what happens? The leader crashes. The leader is taken out, or he's tooken out. Which is a much more fun way of putting it. What about this wreck here? Accident turn 4. This is an accident back straightaway. That's nothing major. These are just acting stupid. This accident, this little tiny accident turn 4. This little, just little, who's involved here? It's the fucking leader. Eric Almirola blows a tire while leading. Okay, yes, Logano comes back, starts first, finishes first, leads here, but we're seeing here that there's a lot of leaders so far that have led laps in this race that are blowing tires, that are being taken out in wrecks, that are running into other issues. I mean, if you got that's just where I'm at. Okay, I'm personally not going to be playing the leader here. Okay, the pole sitter. If I have a sense that anybody's going to carry ownership, I'm just not going to play them. Okay, you can very easily cash. Now let's go ahead and look at these races just in general of where these starting positions are finishing. Look, man, you can easily get away with playing the back half of the field like we've been doing. It's going to clearly, you're going to run in situations where people are taking out wrecks. But 22nd to 11, you're going to cash with that. These plays here, you're absolutely going to make money. And even Stenhouse is not going to lose you a ton of money because there's people up here playing guys starting up front that are losing a ton of positions here. Okay? All these guys back here, these back markers, these are great days. Okay? These are good styling days. Long race, a lot of stuff happened. They are not finishing on the thanks Racing Reference. But that's fine. And dude, my Chrome just died, man. Hold on. All right. Anyway, now I got that fixed. Let's see where we're at here. When you're looking here, where are these guys in the back of the field finishing? You know, if you're getting 8, 10 place differential points from back here, these lines, all it takes is this idiot up here carrying all the ownership to be taken out. Very similar to I'm not using Chicago as an example just because it's just what happened here, but look, man. Let's go ahead. Let me bring up my Chicago lines, and I'll bring up my plate racing lines, and this. Oh man. Okay. I'll just keep talking because my Chrome is just acting horrifically stupid right now. So let's see if I can open anything. Anyway, so when you're playing guys from the back of the field, you are Cup Series at Chicago, and let's go ahead and take a look at. I mean, everybody already knows how I build lineups, anyway, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you what this is. That's Sonoma. Let me pause this. Alright, well, I just lost internet doing this, so I have, God only knows when all that's going to load. I still got all these, like, loading and stuff. Thank God alive, we still have this one up, so I have something to talk about. Anyway, when I was going to just bring up Chicago to explain what happened when the guys up front, because it was just a very easy, lap sled wasn't even a part of it. Even then, like, you know what I mean. Ownership up top, starting grid gets involved in a wreck. They get moved back. They don't even have to be destroyed. You just fall back 10 positions. You're just not playable. It's a math problem. You're just not there. I literally just played guys from the second half of the field, very similar to, kind of how these lines are looking here. If you remember Summer Daytona last year, unfortunately went back to green, but this is a fantastic day for me. Good weekend. This is how I build lineups and stuff. When we're looking at this race here, when we're looking at qualifying stuff, even if you don't, and we don't really have true back markers. I mean, we got Balicki, Custer's in the Rick Ware car, but like there's no like true back markers at this point. So like just play the guys who don't carry ownership in the back and hope that they wreck up front. I know that sounds like very generic and like oh, you're just mailing in, you're being lazy, but that's just what I do. The thing that I want to talk about, I can't really move it around anymore, but like that trend of the spring race at Atlanta being incredibly green follows the trends that outside the Daytona 500, because it's the first Daytona race, the mid, like the spring to summer plate races, which was typically just Talladega up until this Atlanta race, those are the ones that go green. Now we're getting to a situation to where these teams have been here before. This track is having wear, it's having tire wear, it's having setup coming to be a real factor in it. It's having people who feel like this is getting close to like their one chance of being able to win a race, because we're going to like some fucking wild ass races at this point. Like if you don't have a good short track car, you're not winning New Hampshire. If you haven't been good at intermediate tracks, you're not winning Pocono. Excuse me. Road course maybe, but for the most part, this and Daytona are the last times a lot of teams feel like they can get wins here. Okay, so I would lean towards this being a more aggressive race. I would lean towards wanting to build guys from the back. That's just where I would be. That's where I'm at. That's where my approach is. At the end of the day, it's only fucking money. It's only money. So whatever, man. We're in the business to spend money anyway. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's not a wreck fest and I'm there, I'm going to be pretty lame. I'll be in the splash zone for Xfinity, so if somebody goes through the fence on the front straightaway in the Xfinity Series race and I die, I have no regrets. Sue the shit out of NASCAR for me. That is my only request. And bury me in a kiss coffin. That's really my only thing. And yeah, if you like my stuff, if you want to support me, if you want to buy me a beer or anything, feel free to maybe send something on PayPal. So be like, hey man, here's a beer for you at Atlanta. Whatever the case may be. Hope you guys have a good weekend. I'll be available to at least answer questions in Discord and stuff and on Twitter here and there. At the track, I probably won't be very responsive, but that's it, man. We got a small sample size. I understand that everything's saying, play the pole sitter and stuff like that, but man, these pole sitters getting very lucky, and if everybody's gonna start building that way, like, man, dude, I don't know. I think the advantage. I think game theory suggests get off that top ownership in a race that has a high volatility, in a sport that has high volatility, in a race that can very easily get spun upside down with any one mistake, any one tire blowing up, whatever the case may be. I don't know if I want all that ownership on the pole sitter. Anyway, that's where I'm at. You guys have a fantastic weekend.